This is the defendant lobby, alright, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Oh, hello, Edgeworth. Stop popping up behind me. Music cloud. That'll do. Edgeworth. Knowing you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the repeating 7 ID number is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt on this ID record. If that number doesn't belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from the list, I can call for a ruling on the defendant. 5 minutes after the trial starts, Lana will be found guilty. Oh, bold claims there, Edgy. I'm a little hurt. I'm a little hurt by that edge. I think it got it right in my heart. But she didn't do it. I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright? Yeah, see you in court, you dickhead. Can't believe me. All I want is the truth. This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Again. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. And my dog's barking. That's good. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. Before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Edgy, been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, what exactly what is this proposal of yours? I'm going to shut the dog up. Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. What's all this about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. Oh, Lana, you dumb... God... Yeah. You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana, Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. This is all a bad dream. Ma'll come in and save the day, or Mia in Maya's body will come and save the day. It'll be alright. Everything will be fine. And I'll have my ramen noodles. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds a defendant. Get him, Edgeworth. One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would be certainly premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut? I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer a naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, huh? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh, to whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Ms. Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of the truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Ms. Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Look more confident when you're up on there, Emma, come on. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dock of the Joe Dock killings. This is correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget all about that, I'm sorry. But I'm afraid that I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear is finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. All right, Emma. Put up your dukes, because I'm going to shoot everything you have to say down. Except for that. Nah, not that one. I'm pretty... This one. This one seems, Suspect. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Detective Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Gant was there too. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark. When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was good as dead. And then when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but... Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out. Wait a minute! If it was a pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image in the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago. Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw. Yes, but at the time the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Well, let's ask about the picture. Why would we stop? This picture the witness drew. I believe it has a very important meaning. No, shut up, Edgeworth. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right? Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken. But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it, I'm a good drawer. I draw real good. You can look up all my stuff on Deviantart. Is Deviantart even still around? This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again. Well, anyway, let's continue. This saying that imprinted in you an image in your mind. Can you please describe it to us? The man. Yeah. Let's go back. We actually do have that in the evidence list. Right here. Mr. Edgeworth. This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you still insist on denying its existence? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that, as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold! I summon an evidence list from my ass. This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over. Turn it... Ah! What's this? No. Oh gosh, that is that's a 10-10 drawing there, Emma. Really encapsulates the dark. And the... Oh, that knife is a good knife. I mean, it's just a toilet roll holder paper thing. Oh. Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only a prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Eh? These lists, they're different from each other. Ah! What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What? My perfect British form, it's been tarnished by incompetency. Order. Who'd have thought the picture would have been drawn on the back of the list? That was handed to Detective Goodman in the questioning room. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor! Are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. As they often do you need to see an eye doctor? I can have you one right quick. Hold on. No, Your Honor, please. It's normal. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Oh, no. Oh, he's... I was hoping he was going to turn Super Saiyan or something, like... The entire courtroom just rumbled there for a second. Sorry, Your Honor. There was something drawn on the back of my list. This is that... thing. Oh, no. That's that thing. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Apparently, the head of criminal affairs used this for his blueprint. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she saw the picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw that instant. Yes, but it doesn't actually show anything, Emma. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. Oh, excuse me. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Alrighty then. Does it now, Emma? Does it now, Emma? I don't think it does. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction to us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? Well, pretty much the entire thing, but, yeah. So, it's this little knife. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. In fact, you don't even have to look closely to see that. But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. No, shut up, Edgeworth. Let me do my logic. Huh? What could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right. What does this mean? Edgeworth, stop objecting. This is my game. You'll have your time in a couple of games. The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence? The thing you're famous for? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Ugh. Incompetency again! Curse you, incompetency! I will have my revenge on you, using my own logic. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. No, please, no, don't do it again. Phoenix, no, please. God damn it. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife beside Joe Dark's. Could there have been one? Of course. Of course. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. Oh my golly. It can't be. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. This is a picture of the award ceremony. Oh. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the picture was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood this award. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and a broken knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. His broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. Arm all police and prosecutors, please. Let's get an end to these crimes, these senseless crimes. Gun violence must end. Blah, blah, blah. No, don't do this. No. Don't inject this commentary into your... No, don't do this. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because the King of Prosecutors' award knife was the murder weapon, and the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh, my God, Edgeworth, you're brilliant. But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to the conclusions. Emma, shut up. You can't object. This isn't... His attorney, Emma Skye. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. What? All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw a shadow. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The head detective of criminal affairs didn't even design him until this year. That'd mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now... God, Lannis. Why you gotta do that for? He nearly gave the judge a heart attack, I'm pretty sure. Nearly gave me one, too. God. Stop. Please, don't pursue this any further. Lana. What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. You can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. He wasn't in the room. You saw a shadow? A shadow. So you mean you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all? That's right, and I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means please tell us what this shadow really is, was. Or was it Emma saw when the lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger really? I just might know. The blue badger hadn't even been dreamed of when Emma drew this picture, yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright? In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw on that instant? Please show us its mysterious blue badger look-alike. Hey guys, it's the unstable jar. And my dog's barking again. God damn it. Well, that's her. What exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. So this part gave me a whole lot of trouble when I first played it. Now, in the actual video that it's going to go up, this part will be edited and fast-forwarded through. So, yeah. There. God bless it. I also forgot how it looked, so, yeah. Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. No. It can't be. The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Objection! Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. Objection! I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw this jar? Well, obviously, it's the location. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. Not only that, but she saw it at a very specific angle. Knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on the shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body? From Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office. Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what the reason is, or was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have had to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? A suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, it would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the prosecutor's award. Now, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes. There was another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have had to have no idea, but nevertheless... I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? Events took place, as the defense theorizes, and the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. You mean, Mr. Marshall died because of me? Dun dun dun! Emma, you're a murderer! Yay! You're somewhat interesting now. I never imagined a testimony would lead to this. So was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. Don't sound so enthused about it, Judge. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe in your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. Well, you can. I mean, just get Maya on the phone and channel them. Whatever. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Sky. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. Somehow. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is to not accuse Emma of any crime. There's only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. Well, the only thing we have that has blood on it is the unstable jar. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he just going to speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped away the blood. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there is a thin line here drawn in blood. So what he's saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. Gotta connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. The murderer's name. Well, alright. We're ghost tricking up in here. Come on now. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove his client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all the people! She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. See, Worthy, can't say I didn't warn you. And back to Bowser's Castle we are. Chief Gaunt, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know, we aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows.